There is nothing quite like the feeling of buying your first home. You know, to have that better understanding of real estate and how your credit works into it, it's an art of its own. But what happens when your housing dream becomes a nightmare? This is exactly what happened in California as Hillside gave way in Rolling Hills Estates, destroying homes in its path. Residents in the area said that they heard cracks just days before the landslide and evacuations took place. You guys can check the photos as well. It's like a scene from a movie, but sadly, this one actually happened in real life.
Evacuations are still in place. The ground still moving here where this all happened. And as you mentioned, 12 homes destroyed, more being threatened by this landslide. Take a look. The damage here, incredible. Skyfox was over the area, this neighborhood. Homes pulled off their foundations and the land below still shifting. LA County Fire responding to a home here on Pear Tree Lane where residents were forced to evacuate shortly after a water leak was reported around 4 p.m. on Saturday. Residents say, at least some of them, they've been hearing cracks under their homes as far back as Thursday. A total of 16 people were evacuated, only given about 20 minutes or so to grab their things and leave, now wondering what's next for the neighborhood and if more damage is on the way.
I mean, I'm usually not emotional, but it's our home.
And we believe many of these homes will fall into the canyon sooner than later.
Shock. As I'm videotaping, and I just cannot believe, I think this is a movie.
So this is why you need to understand where your homes will be. Just because it's in a rich part of the city doesn't mean that it's safe from disasters. Which brings me to cheap housing. Have you guys heard this startup in Washington that wants to build homes for the homeless or the unhoused? Now, it's honestly admirable that they want to end homelessness, and they're going to try to do it by building villages of prefabricated tiny homes. And these tiny homes are going to be made out of insulated composite walls and aluminum frames.
Hundreds of thousands of people are experiencing homelessness in cities across America. We are facing a national housing emergency. People experiencing homelessness need a shelter that is better than a sidewalk and faster than the permanent solutions that can take months or even years to build. That's why we created Pallet, a rapid shelter solution to address homelessness at the speed and scale that you'd expect when human lives hang in the balance. Our sleeping cabin villages offer an immediate transition off the streets, giving residents a safe and dignified place to live during their transition to permanent housing.
Do you guys think that this is a good idea for homelessness in our country? Now, on that note, what could be a good answer for our rising expenses nowadays? Now, according to analysts, Americans are facing it by cutting back on personal hygiene products. Now, I hope they ain't cutting back on deodorant. Now, I'm not saying that some of us are just not buying soap or shampoo, but some households are now opting to buy cheaper brands. This is on top of supposed good news from the economy as inflation has slowed. However, the effect on the economy is still lagging behind. Now, this reminds me of an episode of Friends where Ross and Chandler, they go to an expensive hotel, they try to make their money back, and they decide to take home like whatever they can. Shampoo, soap, toothbrushes, dental floss, even tampons. But you can't even do that now because hotels generally don't give out more than it wants to because they now have those pumps, right? Wow. How times have changed, huh? But I guess that also marks the difference between being frugal and also being cheap. But anyway, this also spells doom for many consumer goods companies and retailers, as they're probably going to be reporting very soon that their shares in the stock market are inevitably going to be going down. By the way, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below in this video. Now, speaking of going down, hours are being cut by businesses, which has led hundreds of thousands of workers to try and make up for it by getting a part-time job. Now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, just this June, people who work part-time but want to work full-time has gone up by 452,000 people. Now, this is the biggest increase in more than 3 years. Now, you got to wonder, just what happened to our lives in the past 3 years, right? Now, what created this insane shift in the economy? Did any of you guys have any idea? Now, since we're already talking about insanity, right? How about a cheeseburger with nothing but cheese and buns? That is what is happening in Burger King, Thailand. And my first thought was, who's gonna eat something like that? The burger has no meat, no condiments. I guess the WEF will probably love that, the World Economic Forum, but it does have 2 buns and 20, count them, 20 slices of cheese. And to add a dash of crazy, that thing is worth around $4.70. Pretty pricey for a meal that you could probably make at home yourself, right? Talk about being constipated after eating 20 slices of cheese. But not everybody likes to cook, right? And this is why we have services like DoorDash. But have you ever heard of Toast? Well, these guys are becoming much more popular these days, not because of amazing service, but because they're charging consumers an extra processing fee for online orders within $10 or more. You see, Toast is a payment system that's used by restaurants, around 85,000 of them. So there's this cloud-based third-party point-of-sale vendor, which means that they can add this 99 cents processing fee to all orders, even those that were placed through the restaurant's own websites. Now, isn't that crazy, right? So the restaurant gets nothing from that fee. It all goes to Toast. Just how much do these guys make in a day? And obviously, restaurant owners are pissed because they're the ones who continue to pay for Toast services. Now, it just goes to show you have to be wary of technology when you're doing business. And don't forget to read that fine print. Now, some say that to avoid fees, you should go ahead and use cash to pay inside the physical store. Which brings me to my next point when it comes to how we use our money. Real estate investment mentor Grant Cardone, he's telling us to stop saving our money and that we should start investing in real estate. Now, hold on a second. Y'all heard of Grant Cardone, right? I know how it sounds. It's like if I was a car salesman and I told people to stop riding a bike and just buy a car, it's because it's a smart thing to do, right? Oh, don't think that I'm just saying this because I'm going to make a lot of sales. You need better transportation, right? Which in some sense is right. Now, I'm not saying that Uncle G is completely wrong, but in order to invest, you still need to have some money set aside, right? I guess setting aside money for a rainy day isn't as popular with Wall Street traders, as a Manhattan psychiatrist said that there's been an increase in the number of patients that are seeking treatment for drugs, alcohol, depression, and other mental health issues. Now, before I talk about this, I understand that times are very tough and that we all cope with these different circumstances differently. But trust me when I say that none of these addictions will ever help you solve your problems. Now, the surge of these cases has gone up with the health crisis, with financial professionals fearful of asking for time off because they think that their clients will be able to tell that something's wrong with them. Now, I know that these guys probably make millions of dollars a year, so I'm not entirely sure as to why they're so stressed out, but a lot of these guys, they feel the need to resort to these types of practices. But how about you guys? Are you feeling stressed out right now? Let me rephrase that question. If you're making millions of dollars per year, do you think that you would be stressed out in those situations? Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Now, since we're already on the topic of millions of dollars, Bank of America was just fined $250 million over junk fees, withholding credit card benefits and creating fake accounts. Wow, they're pulling a Wells Fargo over here, aren't they? And that last part with the fake accounts, let's talk about that. So, as it turns out, employees of Bank of America illegally applied and enrolled customers to credit card accounts without these people even knowing that their information was being used. So here's what really takes the cake for me in this news, right? So out of that $250 million, only $100 million will be given as restitution to the harmed customers. The other $150 million is for civil penalties, or in other words, basically the government's going to be receiving that money. I swear, the government always got their hand out. I wonder how much the government lost with Bank of America. But what are you guys' thoughts on today's updates? Make sure you guys let me know in the comment section down below. By the way, if you guys made it this far in the video, do your boy a favor, drop a quick like for the video, consider subscribing to the channel, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one.